Hey guys, Golf Nerd here. The reason I started the channel is I wanted to help as many golfers as I could. I take that very seriously. I'm really trying to just put out information that helps people. And it was recently brought to my attention that one of my reviews was factually inaccurate, and that's just something that I just can't stand for. So I removed that video, and I want to apologize to all of you who've watched any of my videos. And I also want to apologize to the sponsor of today's review video, and that is the company that makes Monster Mat. So the owner of the business reached out to me and talked to me about the video that I had posted several months ago about the fact that he didn't think the product that I was using was a Monster Mat. I did some research, and it turned out that the product that I had bought years and years ago was actually called the Monster Tee, and it was not the Monster Mat. It was an honest mistake on my part, but I want to make sure I correct the record. And through that conversation I had with Brent, he said, well, I'd like to send you our product so you can test it firsthand. And that's what I'm going to be doing today, is I'm going to be giving you my first impressions on the Monster Mat. It's a really unique product. It's very different in its construction. And I'm just going to give you all of my honest feedback about the product. So stick around, and that's what we're going to be discussing today.
The first thing I'd like to point out about the Monster Mat is when I received it, it was just really cold here. And as a result, and given the type of construction that the mat is, in order to get it to lay flat, I went ahead and unrolled it and then put these plate weights in all four corners just to try to get it to settle down and smooth out. The other thing I'd like to share with everybody as I move this plate weight out of the way is this mat is different than anything I've ever seen before. So they've got a really heavy foam, kind of like an EVA foam, on the back side of what I would classify as maybe about a ½ inch thick of turf. So it's a very different design than any design I've seen before. And as I start to hit shots on it, it'll be really interesting to see how that design feels both under my feet and through my hands as the club makes contact.
So guys, let me give you my first impressions. So I've got the Monster Mat right next to an Easy Tee hybrid hitting strip, and I checked the heights. These are the exact same height, which is interesting. The other thing that I noticed right off the bat when I get onto this turf is because of the design, and it's such a unique design with that foam pad on the back side and then the turf attached to the top, this mat is really solid underfoot. So if you stand on the Easy Tee hybrid, you can feel it kind of squishing around and moving around a little bit under your feet. And when you get on the Monster Mat, it's not like that at all. In fact, it's much more similar to when I get on my putting turf, which is sitting on a foam backing as well. So right off the bat, what I would say about the Monster Mat is this would make a really good stance mat. So if you're looking for a good stance mat, I really like the way this feels underfoot. It's not as squishy, like I said, as the Easy Tee hybrid is. And it's also a 5x5 mat, which is their standard size. And if you wanted just a stance mat, you could cut in a replaceable hitting strip into this mat, and I think that setup would work pretty well. So just something else to keep in mind. So I've got a par 3 pulled up, and I want to be able to hit a series of shots and just give you some feedback on some of the feels. So for shots that aren't heavy, those shots all felt perfectly fine. There was a couple where I could tell I hit ball and turf, and the club just kind of get it along. No worries there. What didn't feel particularly grabby or anything. Now I'm going to intentionally hit just a couple that are pretty heavy and give you just an idea on what the feel is like. That was certainly heavy. Let me get another one where I really catch a lot of turf. So that was definitely heavy. Lost a little distance, but the feel was not overly jarring. I didn't feel like the turf really caught my club. Probably more similar to what you'd get on an actual fairway, as opposed to, some turfs really grab a hold. But it did punish the distance, which is a good thing to see. Let's talk a little bit about residue, what's coming off on the club. So if I get closer to the camera, you can see there's some material there, but it wipes right off. And I know some other reviewers have talked about this. I spoke to Brent, who owns the company, and he explained to me that this is something that you'll see for like the first month that you use the product. And he said it's not residue, but rather when they make the product, they attach the turf to the backing. And then to guarantee that all of the turf is at the same height, they run it through like a planer, essentially. And there's blades that cut off the tops of the turf so that they can guarantee that the turf is at the same height. And he said what happens is you get all these little fibers that settle down into the turf. And he said through static electricity that the fibers attach themselves to the club just from the static. And that's what I'm seeing. This is not like when you go to a driving range and you're hitting balls on a mat at a driving range and it turns your clubs green and you have to take a brass brush to them to get it all cleaned up. This is not like that at all. This stuff just flakes right off. So Brent said it takes basically about a month to get through that break-in period, and then you'll have kind of sucked up all of those fibers onto your club, and then you'll be home free. So next I'm going to pull up a hole for a tee shot, and I'll just give you my feels on what a tee shot might be like. Now the product does come with a tee holder. There's a hole in all four sides in the center, and you can put this up through the bottom, and that way you can put a regular tee into this. I don't like using regular tees. They kind of fly all over. I've gotten really used to the indoor tees. I do have a set of the Checkmate tees, and I've got birdie tees. I've actually gravitated more towards the birdie tees lately, but it is an option if that's something that you want to use, or if you're using this in an outdoor space. So guys, my first impressions on the product, I really like the way it feels underfoot. It feels very similar to putting turf onto foam. So if you like that firmer feel and not quite as squishy as say like an Easy T hybrid feel under your feet, I think you'd appreciate this. I did like how the club felt on strikes where I hit ball and turf. That felt great. As far as hitting a heavy shot, as you saw in the video, it penalized the shot. It's not real grabby. I think that this mat is going to be pretty gentle on the body, but that's something you need to test for a while, so I want to use it for a couple weeks so that I can give a final review. But in a few weeks' time, I'll come out with a final review after I've had a chance to use this for a while and make sure that I can report out, the long-term effects of using the mat and how it worked on my body, and whether I started to see that material on the bottom of the club start to clear up over time. I just think it's important to live with a product for a while before you give a final review on it. So in a few weeks' time, I'll put that review out. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I absolutely love the conversation that you all and I have back and forth. So leave me a question, leave me a comment, and I will get back to you every time. If you like this video, hit the like button. Helps me get my stuff in front of more folks. And if you haven't subscribed, I'd love to have you as a subscriber too. Well, that's it for the Golf Nerd. Hit 'em long and straight, and I'll see you next time.